There's been a lot of mixed reporting when it comes to the Toronto real estate market from the media. We're seeing a lot of mixed reviews out there. Some media reporting that there's doom and gloom, properties losing a couple of $100,000. And there's some media suggesting that the market's on its way up and they're being quite bullish on the market. So which is it? Well, the truth is often in the details, and that's what we're going to uncover today in this video. I'm going to get into some of the numbers that have come out recently and talk to you real time about what I'm seeing on the field. And at the end, I'm going to give my predictions on what I feel the Toronto real estate market's going. If this is your first time on this channel, my name is Sid Sir from Team Sir Real Estate. I help clients with buying, selling, leasing, investing, as well as all aspects of pre-construction condos. If this is your first time on this channel, please consider subscribing. Okay, so let's start off by first taking a look at some of the headlines that we're seeing recently. There's been some reports on, properties selling for a lot less than what they were selling a year ago, 2 years ago, and maybe even in 2021. So here's an example of a property, freehold townhouse in Brampton, 4-bed, 3-bath, that sold at the peak of the market, which was, the January, February, maybe the beginning of March of 2022. And this townhouse sold for $1,251,000. And then it was recently relisted and then sold for $875,000. So we're talking about a $376,000 loss from the peak to now. Here's another example. This one is a condo in North York where it was originally sold for $850,000 back in 2019 August, and now exactly 5 years later it sold for $767,000, which is over $82,000 in loss. Now, the media and of course a lot of people on social media love to emphasize on headlines like this and of course talk about these sort of sensational one-offs. Now, again, I want to be very careful on how I frame this. You have to look at the Toronto real estate market from a wider lens and what's going on in the market and not look at the outliers, because you can find more examples of these, by the way, where properties have taken quite a bit of a hit over the last 2 years, 3 years, even 5 years. Now, to understand why that's happening, we also have to understand what happened at that time when buyers were purchasing properties. If you guys remember in 2021 and 2022, interest rates were at an all-time low. For a lot of people, borrowing money was practically free. So people borrowed a lot, they leveraged quite a bit, and they went out shopping for homes. People were competing, and inventory was quite low because there wasn't a lot of inventory on the market. So if you're a home seller at that time, if you put your house on the market, you'd also have to find something to move into. So it was very hard. So because of that, there wasn't a lot of inventory, and the inventory that there was a lot of competition to secure those properties. And combined with low interest rates and high demand, we started seeing multiple offers, and in many cases, properties selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, not just over asking price, but also in many cases, way over market value at the time. So this created a lot of artificially inflated pricing, especially in areas just outside of Toronto, places like Durham region, even Brampton, some parts of Mississauga. Now, I want to show you guys what's happening across the board in the Toronto real estate market by looking at the latest numbers that were, come out by TREB. Keep in mind, TREB is the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board that encompasses not just the city of Toronto, but also a lot of the surrounding areas like Peel region, Durham region, Vaughan, York region. So, it's an all-encompassing sort of bird's eye view of the market. Toronto is made up of a lot of micro markets that behave differently depending on the property type, neighborhood, etc. So, but this is still a good sort of indicator to look at where we are right now. What I want to focus on is the numbers that just came out for August 2024, and also look back in time to see how the market's been performing and why I strongly believe that the Toronto real estate market is and always has been extremely resilient. So August 2024, so numbers from last month's data, we're looking at average selling price of $1,074,000. Now this is about 0.8% less than last year. Last year, August, we're looking at $1,082,000. Not a big difference. And of course, real estate should never be looked at from a short-term lens. You're not buying real estate to day trade. You're buying real estate to hopefully have a home, or if you're an investor, have a property that you're going to be sitting on for a while. If you look at 2022, 1,079,000. Now this is August of 2022. This is when rates were starting to go up. We're probably in our second or third rate hike at the time. So the market had slowed down quite a bit. But then if we look at August of 2021, which was, a hot market, the average price at that time was again 1,070,000. So from 2021 to 2024, in the span of just 3 years, we're still at the same price point, which means we haven't taken as big of a correction. You look at 2020, the average sale price was sitting at 951,000. It's under $1 million. That was the last time we were under $1 million. So in a 4-year time frame, and if we even look at 2019 at 792,000 average sale price, from a 5-year perspective, we are sitting at over 35% of price appreciation on average, right across the board. Another stat I want to show you guys is the active listings right now. Right now we're sitting at over 22,000 active listings, which means these are all the listings that are currently on the market. And why that's important is because if you look at the sales that happened last month, which is just under 5,000, that puts us at 4.6 months of inventory, which is the largest months of inventory we've had in all of the last 5 to 6 years, especially in the month of August. The months of inventory gives us an idea of the absorption rate of listings. So if no new listings were to come on the market, it would take 4.5, almost 5 months for all of the existing inventory to sell, which puts us at a very favorable, close, just about a buyer's market territory. Anything over 6 months, you're in complete buyer's market territory. But I would say right now, we're in definitely a buyer's market. Now, of course, earlier I shared examples of properties that had taken massive losses from the time that they were purchased. Again, in my opinion, these are, one-offs. These are outliers. We're not seeing that in mass. We're not seeing a ton of listings just losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in a matter of a few years. These are people who likely when they purchased in 2021, 2022, they had overbid quite significantly when prices were artificially inflated and are now probably in a pinch because maybe they locked in a variable rate, maybe they can't afford their monthly house payments, maybe they had a job loss and now they have to sell the property, and this is what the market's willing to pay at this time. But again, if you look at the overall picture of where we are right now, the fact that even with 22,000 homes in active inventory and prices still not majorly correcting, because again, if you look at the data even from 2021, just the last 3 years, we're still sitting at relatively the same price point. And that tells me that the Toronto real estate market is extremely resilient, that the Toronto homeowners are extremely resilient, and that people, for the most part, are able to hold on to their property. Now, the condo market, on the other hand, is in a completely different place right now. We have excess supply of condos in the market. I did a whole other video on the condo inventory, which you can watch somewhere here, which I'll also link in the description. But condo inventory is at over 7 months, especially in the downtown core. So if you're a buyer looking at condo inventory right now, this is a fantastic time to buy. A lot of investors are backing out. First of all, investors aren't buying properties, especially condos right now, because of sky-high interest rates and rent's not enough to cover mortgage payments. A lot of condo owners, especially owners of new condos that were built recently, are heavily cash flow negative. And a lot of those investor clients are trying to get out of their property. So this is creating excess inventory in the market. However, even a lot of those sellers really aren't budging on price. Condo prices have come down quite a bit from last year, but again, not enough to really, put a huge dent and put a sort of condo crash territory, if you will. Now, as for where I see the market headed, we just had a recent announcement from the Bank of Canada with a 25 basis point rate cut. This was the 3rd consecutive rate cut by the bank, and this is starting to signal optimism in the market, and the sentiment amongst buyers is a little bit more optimism and confidence. And even though it may not impact affordability as much because the Bank of Canada's rate is tied to the variable rate and not the fixed rates, buyers still feel that optimism and confidence that, this may be the time to start going shopping. But we've yet to see that. The July and August summer months are typically slow. Based on their last 2 rate announcements, we didn't see a lot of action. I would say likely also because of the summer months when everyone's away. I'm curious to see how fall is going to go, but my prediction is that we're going to see quite a lot more units and inventory in general come out into the market, although prices are going to be more or less pretty stagnant and not really increase. However, I do feel that 2025 is going to be a completely different market. Starting from January, we might start seeing an uptick in activity when it comes to the number of sales, and also the price points might start increasing slowly and gradually as well. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Leave them in the comments and let me know if you think the Toronto real estate market is going towards an upward trajectory or a downward trajectory when it comes to sales and prices. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, take care.